Hi guys, welcome back to Photoshop for web developers. My name is Neil Pearce. Okay, so in this lesson we're going to finish off our menu bar by creating our logo. It's going to be fairly straightforward. We're going to be using the pen tool and we're going to create this shape, and then we're going to give it some layer styles. Use the same font as we use for our buttons, which is the lobster font. Same layer styles for that as well, and then create a few more elements underneath that using our letterpress effect that we've learnt in the last lesson for the home button. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. So we pick up from where we left off then, where we had our menu bar completed, our ribbon effect. Okay, so the first thing then we're going to want to do is to drag out some guides just to give us some help along the way. So if you haven't got your guides visible, then press Ctrl H on your keyboard and you should have the center guide already down. If not, just drag one, select the move tool, click and drag one down to the center. And if I just increase this a bit so we can see what we're doing, Ctrl plus on your keyboard. Okay, so what we're going to be doing then, we're going to drag guide down to there, another guide down to there, another one down to there, and we're going to be using these 9 guides here. Okay, for now, even though this isn't going to be the right width, it's going to be using these 9 guides here just for a guide. Okay, so with the move tool selected then, just click and drag a guide and situate it at just above the menu bar, because if we look at our final design, increase that slightly, you will see that it's sitting just above the menu bar, only by a couple of pixels. But even though we can shift this up once we've finished with it, I like to get a step ahead of myself. So okay, so next guide will be just underneath, so we just drag that down to there and then drag another one down in between that, about there, because what we're going to have is that as our corner, then it's going to go down to there, then it's going to go back up to there. Okay, and that's going to be our arrow shape at the bottom here, like that. So what we're going to do now then is select the foreground, change the foreground color to 567982. Okay, click OK. Then select the pen tool from the tools bar, and up to the options bar, make sure that shape layers is selected. Doesn't have to be, but you can have paths on, but shape layers is easier. In the layers palette then, we're going to have this inside the navigation group, so leave that selected there, because once you create a shape, that will create you a new layer straight away. So okay, we're going to use these 9 guides, aren't we? So if we click the corner here and then hold down the shift key, so when we click over here, this will be nice and straight. Then down to this corner here, take your finger off the shift key, down to the center, up to the other corner, and hold down shift key and click there, and now you've got your shape. Hide your layers, Control H. So what we're going to do now then is to give our layer a name, so we're going to change that to base. Then we're going to put all this in the same group in a minute once we've finished, as I say. Okay, so next thing then is to open up our layer styles, and then we're going to give this a pattern overlay. Now the pattern we're going to be using is one that should be available, that is available in the tutorial files, download files. It's called SQ4. It's down here, look, these 2 big squares, so click that, gives it a nice checkered look. So now we're going to do is to bring the opacity down to 35%, and change the blend mode to overlay, and the scale will come down to about 60%. or 55%. Okay, 55 is okay. Next up then will be the gradient overlay. So click gradient overlay. I'm going to change the blend mode to soft light so the colour comes through. And then open up, actually no, change the opacity. I think the opacity come down to about 30%. Actually bring that down to about 20%. Okay. Then open up your gradient editor by clicking this rectangle here. And what we need to do now is to create 3 more color stops. Okay, so these little things here are called stops. And we need to put one there, so click there, then click there, and click there. Okay. Oh. Okay, it's just created a few more. So if you do this, and if you don't know, just click it and drag away, and they should go. Click it and drag down, and that'll go away. Right. So the left color stop. Double click that. Bring up the color picker, and we are going to change that to 1A, 1A, 1A. Then the next one will be 808080, and next one will be B2, B2, B2. Okay. Next one will be white, so be all the Fs. And the last one will be 4C, 4C, 4C. C, 4C, 4C. Okay. Click OK. So what it's done, actually might need to turn up the opacity a bit more. What you can see at the top there, look, it's might look like it's curving around the menu bar, which is what we want. Now next we're going to give it a inner shadow, an inner glow. And the inner glow, we'll do the same to the left and right sides. So we click inner glow, change the blend mode to overlay, bring the opacity down to 30%, and change the colour to white. Okay, now you've got that, them sides looking like they're rounded slightly, which is what we want, but we'll change the size, we'll change that down to 3, no, we'll change it to 4. Okay, so it's nice and subtle effect. Last but not least, we'll give it a drop shadow. Drop shadow will be normal, black, opacity down to 35%, about 35, do that as 2, and the size is 4. Click OK, minimize that slightly so you can see it from a distance. Okay, so as you can see by the final design here, we ain't got the size spot on yet, but needs to be adjusted slightly, but it doesn't matter. So let's give it a bit more of a width. So with the base layer selected, press Ctrl T on your keyboard, and we'll just drag it out slightly, give it a bit more width. I think that should do it. Yeah. Okay, so enlarge that slightly so we can see again what we're doing. As you see by the final design, we've got 2 rectangles on the sides, on the left and right hand side here. Just another subtle effect there. And this is really simple. Just create a layer, create a new layer, the layers palette. Go to your rectangle marquee tool. Then from top down to the bottom, drag out selection. Then fill that with a lighter colour than that. Get a bit more lighter. and then using the paint bucket tool, press G on your keyboard and change that to the paint bucket tool, and just select in there. Then turn the opacity down to 20%. Rename that side left, and then with that layer selected, hold down with the move tool selected, with that layer active, hold down the Control and Alt key, so you've got the two cursors there, look, black and white one, and just drag across, make a duplicate of that, and then change that to side right. Okay, now I'm going to group all this now, so keep things nice and tidy, bit of housekeeping. So with that layer selected, and choose I'm going to click on the base layer, but with my shift key held down, so they're all selected. Then Control G on the keyboard to group that, and change that group and call that logo. Okay, so you should have all that in there now. Brilliant. So open up that again. What we need to do now is to add our text. We'll just select the base layer, over to the tools panel, select the horizontal tool, type tool, change the foreground to white. Doesn't really matter at the moment, but okay, so lobster selected, lobster 1.4, font 24, add in our text, Creative Studio, I've changed the font down slightly, probably about 20, 21, 22, and give our text some layer styles, just a drop shadow. So open up your layer styles, and we're going to give it a drop shadow. Instead of black, we'll give it a colour, same colour as that, a darker one, and change that to normal, blend mode to normal, and then we give that a bit more of a darker colour. Yeah, distance 2, or should we make that 1? And now do it 2, size 1. Okay, click OK. Excellent. Needs to be shifted down slightly. Right, now next thing to do then is to create a new layer above our text. Doesn't have to be there, could be just above the base. We'll do that, and we'll select the rectangle marquee tool in the tools panel at the top there, and what we're going to do is going to drag out one line which should be about a pixel high. Okay, it's about a pixel. Right, do there. If I just increase document slightly so I can see a bit more, select the paint bucket tool and give that same colour as this background. Doesn't have to be spot on. Okay. Select that, click in there. Then we're going to give it some layer styles. So open up your layer styles, give it a drop shadow, change the blend mode to overlay, drop shadow to white, color white, then bring the opacity down to 25%, and round about there anyway. Distance will be 1 and 0. Okay, let's make that a little bit smaller so you can fit our layers box in. Layer styles box. Okay, so that's it. Right, next thing then is to give it an inner shadow. The inner shadow will be linear light, blend mode. Change that to linear light. Turn the opacity down to 25%. And distance to 1 and size to 2. Okay, excellent. That's our lines done. What we need to do now is to select that layer and do what we just did a minute ago. With the move tool selected, hold down the shift and alt key and just drag down. Make 2 lines. With them both selected, because we're going to move them in a bit, press Ctrl T on your keyboard, and with the Alt key down, click and drag in. The Alt key down will make both ends move in. Okay, so we're getting there. Move down a bit. And lastly, we need to add our icon there. So I've used one that I've installed. If you haven't got this one, it's just an arrow. Okay, so let's change the names of these then to we'll go lines, the one at the top. What we do, we want to select both of them, then we want to merge these together. So if you do Control E, that will merge them both together, so all on one layer. There's no need to shift them around anymore. Space them out, that is. Okay, so there's the lines. What we need to do now is the icon, arrow icon in there. So what I have done is used the custom shape tool. If you open up your shape tools, you go to custom shape tool, which will be inside your rectangle tool or in them group anyway. Go down to custom shape tool and up into your options bar, open up your shape picker, which is here. Little arrow there, click that, and what I've used is this arrow here. Now you probably won't have that shape in your picker, but you can use any other shape, any other icon in here. Perhaps use the perhaps use that one. Okay, so you've got a little crown there. Just hold down the shift key. We'll do that on a new layer. Sorry, create a new layer. No, don't worry. We've got the shape layer selected. Shape layer selected in the options bar. Hold down shift key and just drag out our shape. Use the space bar. I've got my finger on the space bar still, so I can move it around. Okay, then when you feel like you got it in the right position, let go. Take them layer styles off there. Obviously you could use the center guide, but we've moved it around now. So right, so all we need to do then is give it the same layer styles as our lines. So if we bring up our blending options, layer styles, give it a drop shadow, change that to normal, to white. I should give that overlay. Change that to overlay, white, bring the opacity down to 25%, distance to 1, 0. Okay, in the shadow, remember linear light. Bring that down to 25%, and that'll be 1, 2. Then we could, if we wanted to, give it a pattern overlay. So click pattern overlay, find the same patterns used before. Get that in there. Then we'll just change the bring the opacity down, and the scale. Just keep adjusting it till you've got it right. Just add a little bit more style to it. Might like it better without the pattern. And there you have it. Nice little logo, and we've finished off our menu bar. Next up will be to create our title bar here, our welcome title bar or divider, and we'll add that text there as well, and probably look at doing the design and develop buttons after that, so we learn how to do the rounded stitch effect. Okay, so we're cooking on gas, we're nearly there, and I'll see you in the next lesson.